Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Mary, and today I'm very excited to share with you one of the strategies I use to learn and memorize the joint ranges of motion. Now, I know some of you are already cringing because this is a content area that many of us struggle with, and it's hard to learn and retain because there are a lot of numbers. I know that it was difficult for me. So today I'm going to try to make this process fun and creative, and hopefully you'll be able to master this content by the end of today. Who knows? This too can be conquered and mastered. Before we get started, I want to just mention that the numbers that you hear might be slightly different depending on which textbook you use or what internet source you are perusing. But for this video, I'll be using the Pedretti's Occupational Therapy textbook. So if you need more information or if you'd like to get more details on the position of the client, I'd like to suggest you go back to your textbook to brush up on that knowledge. All right, so getting back to the joint range of motion. What did I do while studying for the MBCOT exam? I used my body as a canvas and I doodled all over it. So I have this scarf on, although it's really hot here right now, because I didn't want you to be distracted with my 45. You see how hot it is here? I'm already sweating. This was a perfect 45 when I drew it in 10 minutes ago. But I want to encourage you to do the same. I want you to take out your marker, get undressed, and we're going to do this together and go over some of the major joint range of motion today, okay? All right, let's get started. I feel so much better without that scarf. It was really hot and I was sweating profusely. See what I go through to make these videos? It's just silly and kind of cool. See, this is dedication here. All right, so we're going to start with the head. I have 45 here to show the ranges of 0 to 45 for flexion, extension, and lateral flexion. So let's start with cervical flexion, where you look down here, and that's 0 to 45. Cervical extension, where you look up towards the ceiling, that's also 0 to 45. And lateral flexion, 0 to 45, where you bring your ear to your shoulder. You also have cervical rotation, looking to the side this way, and that's a 0 to 60. Now I have 60 here. Oh, that does not look like 60. Something went wrong. It's all that sweating. That was a perfect 6 10 minutes ago when I started this video. So there you have it, the cervical ranges of motion. Next up, we're going to do shoulder range of motion, starting with shoulder flexion. So, shoulder flexion range of motion is 0 to 170. Now, I won't be able to go up all the way to 170 because I have serious limitations in my range of motion here, but use your imagination, 0 to 170. And it's 0 to 60. This is shoulder extension. Okay, and finally we're going to do shoulder abduction, and that's shoulder abduction. And shoulder abduction is the same as shoulder flexion. They're both 170. So it starts here at 0 and you go out this way, shoulder abduction, and you go all the way up. 0 to 170 is the average range of motion for shoulder abduction. Okay. Now we're going to do shoulder internal rotation and shoulder external rotation. So for shoulder internal rotation, the range of motion is 0 to 60. So when I bring my forearm in like that, what do I see? 60. So every time I use my arms and I do shoulder internal rotation, I will see 60 to remind myself that the range of motion for shoulder internal rotation is 0 to 60. Now, every time I move my arm out for a shoulder external rotation, I will see that the range of motion is 0 to 80. And this is with the shoulder adducted. So, shoulder internal rotation, 0 to 60. Shoulder external rotation, 0 to 80. So I just demonstrated the shoulder internal and external rotation while the shoulders were adducted, which is here in this position. This time I'm going to show you the shoulder internal and external rotation while the shoulders are abducted, which is up here. Okay? So shoulder internal rotation is 0 to 70 while the shoulder is abducted. Starting point here, all the way down for internal rotation, your range of motion is 0 to 70. When you bring it back up to starting position and you go up, that's shoulder external rotation for 0 to 90. And this is with the shoulder abducted, abducted, internal rotation 0 to 70, external rotation 0 to 90. Okay, moving right along, let's do elbow flexion as well as forearm supination and pronation. So for elbow flexion, starting here, we're going to bring it up to 135 to 150, and that is the average range of motion for elbow flexion. 0 to 135 to 150. So anytime you're doing bicep curls and you're in the gym, think about your range of motion and assess whether you're in the average range of motion or not. Okay? All right, so now forearm supination and pronation, they're actually the same. They're both from 0 to anywhere from 80 to 90. I don't know why I wrote it twice. I got really excited. Okay, so starting here, supination movement is this way, and pronation, you're going that way. So forearm supination, 0 to anywhere from 80 to 90, and forearm pronation, this way. Okay, so we just learned elbow flexion, 0 to anywhere from 135 to 150, and forearm supination and pronation, 0 to anywhere from 80 to 90. So when you're cooking, flipping your burger patties, or doing whatever it is that you're doing that requires pronation and supination, remember to think about what your average range of motion is. Okay? And if you have it written down as I do, it will be much easier to remember. All right.